Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from SimpleProgrammer.com. So I got this email from a guy here. I'm not going to say his name. We'll just call him Ed. So Ed says, Hi, John. Love your content. Our careers are actually pretty similar. I started making lots of money early in my career and made lots of real estate investments. Cool. I was able to retire a year ago and live off of passive income with the intention of working on my own projects until this thing happened. So if you're interested, by the way, in my real estate stuff, you can check out the playlist here. I'll be doing more of that eventually, as it's been quite popular, but it's not my main focus with this channel. But if you're interested, there you go. Anyway, he says, I have a girlfriend. It's a long distance relationship. Anytime I hear that, I'm starting to, Okay. We traveled back and forth a few times, and it's been going really well for about a year. I was even to think about us moving together. During that year, a couple of times she said she needed to contact this attorney for some legal advice, who she said was someone she used to work with. But then I found out that's the guy she's been dating for 5 years before me. That made me totally lose trust in her. It almost felt like cheating. I started asking her questions about the relationship, but the more I learned about the relationship, the worse it got. And maybe I was overly aggressive, but she ended up hiding/lying about a few more things about that relationship. It made me obsess even more. Of course it would. One thing I learned was that he wasn't working for about a year and she would support him financially. That made me really jealous because the way she describes it, he didn't treat her that well, and she would still do that for him. Yep, that all makes sense here. Now I constantly think about this whole thing and can't move forward in our relationship. I always compare myself to that guy and think how she would act with him, or when she does something nice to me, I think if she would do something nicer to him. At this point, I'm thinking about ending the relationship because this thing occupies 100% of my brain. But I'm afraid that something like this may happen in a new relationship. Plus, this girl is putting in a lot of effort to work this out. What are your thoughts on this? So, Ed, I have to tell you, there's a few things definitely on this. I actually had emailed Ed and told him to read The Way of the Superior Man by David Data, which is a book that I've recommended a few times here, especially in this case. But I decided to go ahead and do a video and go into a little bit more details because I think this deserves a few more details here. So, where to start with this? Basically, where I would start with this is basically to tell you that you need to essentially not care what she does or what she did in the past, right? Unless you're going to get into a serious long-term relationship with her, like you said, moving in together, to your fiance or something, you're 100% free to do whatever you want. She's 100% free to do whatever she wants, and you got to not care. So the way that you're not going to care, and I'm going to say this at the risk of sounding like a jerk, because, sometimes you got to not be nice in life, but a not nice thing, or what people perceive as not nice, but which is just totally fair, is that you can play the field as well, my friend. And maybe you need to. Maybe you need to at least open up the possibility of doing that. Because right now, you've got this really bad case of one-itis, and you are stuck on the history and the past of this one girl who basically, like, you're imagining that you're comparing yourself to her ex-boyfriend, and you're being jealous with where she spends her time and what she does, and it's occupying 100% of your thoughts. Like you said, if you don't care, if you're like, hey, you know what, if you think that you've got options and you are just out there living your life, having a good time, and if someone wants to hang around for the ride and have a good time with you, that's great. And if they don't, that's great. And if you think that there's enough plates spinning that you could just move on to the next girl, then you're not going to obsess about this one. Not only that, but you don't want to be that guy that you are right now that's comparing yourself. Right, you want to be the other guy. You want to be the guy that you're talking about, that your girlfriend actually did. The reason why you're so jealous is because you want to be that other guy. So I'm telling you how to be that other guy. You want to be the guy that the girl is so obsessed about that she's willing to support you financially, even though you'd never do that, even though you're not a loser. You want to be enough, in her mind that you could be that loser and she'd still be supporting you. The guy that can get away with he's not treating her well, but she's still so obsessed with him. And the reason why, and I'll do another video on being a nice guy and whatnot, but the reason why that she would like this guy that is not very nice to her, doesn't treat her well, is not because he doesn't treat her well. That's what, so many, oh, you got to be a jerk. No, it's not about being a jerk. It's about not caring so much. It's about caring more about your, what is your focus on life and not worrying. It's about not seeking approval, right? Because right now, if you're jealous and you're, comparing yourself and like, oh, when she does something nice for me, what kind of nice thing would she do for this other guy? You're all about 100% about seeking her approval. And that's not going to be an attractive trait, and that's not going to make her crazy about you. Also, you're showing a limit of your options, right? If you have a lot of options, this girl is going to be nuts trying to get you to limit those options. But right now you're saying, I don't have any options. I just have you, especially when it's a long distance relationship, right? Because a long distance relationship, it's not really a relationship, right? You don't know what she's doing. You have no real commitment. You've got no, who knows, right? It's not, it kind of spells for you that you don't have options. So don't, I think in this case, Ed, what I'm basically saying, and I'm saying it in sort of a beating around the bush way, is you need to not be monogamous here in this relationship. It's not serious enough of a relationship to be monogamous, and by not, it's not a one or it's not an all or nothing thing. Don't end the relationship necessarily, because if you do that, that'll be kind of a wussy type of thing to do, to just say, okay, well, I'm obsessing about this and so I can't handle this. Instead, be the guy that can handle it. Instead, be the guy that's like, all right, whatever, you do whatever you want to do. That's cool. Like, I'm gonna, I'm busy some nights too, so I'm, and not just playing it, but actually doing that. Actually saying, okay, maybe I need to have other options here. Maybe I need to go out and have a little bit of fun and not worry about doing the quote right thing. Sometimes you've got to not do the right thing, if you know what I mean. So yeah, that's what I would say. And then you won't have to worry about this stuff. Then you won't have to obsess about this stuff. And the fact that your currently girlfriend is putting a lot of effort to work this out is, to me, it says that I don't know how, I'm guessing that you're like in your 30s and she's probably in her 30s or maybe your late 20s, and she's like looking for a settle down type of guy. You don't want to be that. Don't want to be the settle down kind of guy, right? I mean, you eventually, right? But you want to be that way on your terms. You didn't want to be that because she's like, well, I can have my fun, or I had my fun in my 20s, and now this is the kind of nice guy that I'm serious about and I'm going to settle down with. It's not going to be a good life for you. So be the exciting guy. Be the guy that's got a lot of options, that she's got to lasso down with a rope. And then you're the one who's framing the situation, who's in control, who gets to be, don't have to be the jerk, don't have to not have a job and have your girlfriend take care of you, and you don't have to mistreat her, but you can be the one who is holding the cards and has the options, instead of being at the mercy of what this girl's doing right now and worrying about being jealous and all that stuff. All that stuff is not gonna get better unless you have more options, unless you change your mindset. There's nothing that she can tell you. There's nothing that is going to happen relationship-wise that you're suddenly going to be like, oh, okay, I'm not jealous anymore. There's nothing she could do for you, right? You've got that stuck in your head because of how you're comparing, and because you're limiting your options, and because I mean, instinctively, whatever you suspect is true. This is why it's eating you up, is because this is true. And what you're attempting to do is to control this girl in order to make this thing not true. And that's not how it's going to become not true. It's not going to be by controlling someone else, right? Your deepest fear is true, right? Whatever it is, whatever you know, it's way worse than that. I'll tell you that right now. I'm telling you this at the end. But what can you do about it? Not going to control someone, not going to change them. The more that you would try, the more that you'd try to say, oh, you got to change how you feel about this other guy, or like be exclusive, or you limit or control someone, the worse it's going to be. The more that taboo, forbidden fruit is going to be desirable. Instead, how can you flip it so that you are more on the side of that taboo, that forbidden fruit? How can you flip it and not end up on the sucker end of the deal, right? So that means that instead of controlling, you're going to let go. You're going to be like, do what you want. I don't even really care. Like, I got my own stuff I got going on, and you know what? If it works out, works out. If it doesn't work out, I'm cool. That's fine. You know, and mean it. Don't just play that part, because if you mean it, first of all, you won't obsess. Second of all, you'll be switching the frame around. It'll be your frame instead of her frame. And third, you'll be living the reality, which is that this is how it's going to have to be. Because, like I said, there's nothing that you're going to do from this frame. There's nothing she's going to do, even if you could control, that is going to change your mind. Because you're always going to have this doubt and this fear. And it's going to be based on an instinctual thing that is generally correct. Your instincts are right. So, you know, you can be a victim, and you can be sad and wish that you were this other guy, or that things were different. Or you cannot accept the situation as it is and just go out and have fun and realize that you always want to control the frame and be that guy that is the one that you're jealous of in this case. So anyway, Ed, that's a lot there. Hopefully that helps you. There's definitely a lot to say about this, but that's my thoughts for today on this. If you got a heartbreak question or whatever, you can email me at john@simpleprogrammer.com, and I'll do my best to give you an answer. Anyway, if you like this video, subscribe. Talk to you next time.